Excellent. That's always a positive feature of a life, I think, when we've managed to succeed in going live. Let's just see if we can pick things up from here. Okay. Events. Excellent. Let's pick that up. Let's pick that one up. Excellent. Good morning, afternoon, Jill. Good morning, Elizabeth. Okay, and for whatever reason I can't share that to my page, so if anyone else can share it to my group page, then that would be much appreciated. So put the brain into gear. It's always a helpful activity. So I had a busy day yesterday. I took the lovely Liz Wheeler down to Hobby Maker because that's just what friends do. Hopefully we haven't lost any bits of paper along the way. It's never one, two, and there's a few more bits over there, so hopefully we have now got everything sorted. Hello Sheila, hi Jan, hi Connie, welcome. Could you just let me know you can see and hear me, because of course I never trust technology, because with my tech record, why would you trust technology? There we are. Let's just see if that's going to... Oh, that is well behaved today. Good afternoon, Margaret. Hi, Connie. Lovely. So I have a penchant for buying shabby ribbons or old-fashioned ribbons, and I've got quite a lot of them, and I've currently got them shoved in a plastic tub, and then of course they all get jumbled up, and it takes me for ages then to find the ones I want when I am wanting to use them. So I saw a little MDF kit. Thank you, Connie, much appreciated. Hi Sue, hi Eleni. Online from Etsy, from Jack Heath Designs, and I thought, that will work very nicely and will allow me to tidy them up and hopefully make it easier to be organised. I'm going to make, I've got a couple of the kits, but we might not do all of them today, because each kit has 15 of these spools in them. So we put that out of the way. But it's a self-explanatory kit, doesn't come with any instructions, but that's just fine. Just fine, because it really doesn't need them. So that is the back, that is the front, and we have two side panels. Woohoo! So it really is that simple. And then you've got lots of other elements to add, and I've kept the whole concept for today really quite plain and, well, and for me simple. I decided that it's a functional storage piece. It doesn't need to be overly embellished, still needs to be pretty and in my style, but I didn't want to necessarily have too many additions, because I want to be able to store my stuff and get at it quite comfortably. So as ever, this is an MDF kit, so we have male parts that stick out and female bits that are bobbed in. So we're just going to add a little bit of glue and wipe off the excess anyway. And I tend to do this when I'm making these pieces. If you do start by putting your glue on all of the pieces, it has a chance to become slightly more tacky, which means putting it together a little bit easier. And I've got one that is already pre-dried, so that's always helpful, I think. There we are. You don't need masses of glue, so I'm using the Pentart Express glue because it grabs quite quickly, but you use your favourite one. There's never a problem with doing that. What's the question, Elizabeth. I've missed something, my darling. Jack Heath is the name of the lady who designs the things, and it's JAK, just to be difficult. So that piece can go up there, that one can go into there, that lifts into there, and that piece will lift into there, you see, and then you just have to let it all dry before you move it, which is of course not going to happen in 30 seconds flat, but hey ho. So let's just pop that into there, pop that into there, pop that into there, and then you can either pop it, just leave it to dry, which is the smart cookie move, isn't it? Hi Angela, welcome my darling. Or you can, do what I'm just about to do, which is pop some tape around here, and I can lift it out and put it on the floor. So this is just some masking tape that's going to help hold those angles secure. Shouldn't need very much more, but it's just going to hold everything neatly in place whilst it dries. There we are. And I'm going to stick that on the floor. Of course, in good old-fashioned Blue Peter fashion, I already have one pre-made. So let's just tuck some of these pieces out of the way. As I said, I have... Oh, where's that gone already? You know, you get everything out, you put everything down, and then bits go miraculously walkabouts. You know, because why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it? You know. Aha! You see. And then you question yourself when you can't find something. So this was just put together a couple of days ago, and obviously didn't let it glue dry very well, because that's a bit wobbly, but that's my bad, not anything else. That can sit there, that can sit there, the tape can come off, and because I clearly didn't put enough glue on that, let me just sort that out, because that is absolutely my bad. Because it doesn't even look like I put any glue on there. Hey ho, yeah, why would I put glue on it? There we are. Let's just stick that into place and hold that. So the quick grab glue from Pentart will work very nicely. And because it's boring watching people cut stuff, we've done a little bit of chopping up of stuff. So 1, 2, 2 for inside, 2 for outside. Excellent. Right, I think we've got 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, and 4. Because we've got lots of surfaces. So literally all I have done, ladies, is measure the pieces I need these to cover and cut them out. And I am using the brocante papers from Stamperia because they're pretty, and I have chosen to work with the 22-page single-sided pad of paper, which I love the double-sided papers, but if you're going to be making construction pieces like this, actually you might just as well have single-sided papers. So whilst though that's an option, but then that's what we're going to do. And I'm deliberately using an archival ink. I clearly don't want my inks to come off my onto my ribbons, so that seems like a logical thing to do. So you need 4 pieces for the sides, chopped up, simple, easy. I've cut enough papers for both of my boxes, so we might not make all of it on live, I might do the second one partly off live, but that's okay because there's lots of components to these. But for the 2 boxes, I'm actually only using 3 sheets of paper. There we are. Which is cool because it makes it pretty economical, I think. And this is definitely more a paper crafting life than maybe a mixed media one, but you know, we each take our choices, don't we? I might just grab another glue in a minute. On the other hand, we do have some decoupage glue out. It's a glue, it will work. There we are. Oops, she says. And we will inevitably have some rinse and repeat today, but that's okay. So these papers are absolutely gorgeous. As a collection, it's got so many different themes. So the style is cohesive, absolutely. It's layered, it's shabby, it's old-fashioned, it's vintage, but the imagery allows it to tell lots of different stories. So you've got sewing, sewing, childhood toys, you've got lampshades, and you've got clocks and also cups. So I think that you could do projects to fit lots of different themes in amongst all of that. So let's just I want a good layer of glue over everything. So that's that. Let's get the pieces of paper that go together. So some for the inside, some for the outside, and I'm just going to use my decoupage glue. But you know, and I will cut one for the bottom because I haven't done that. Although you could just leave it bare, or you could just varnish the bottom. It doesn't actually mean that you have to decorate the bottom of a storage piece. It will need something for protection, that's for certain. So we'll cut that piece. We'll measure and cut that piece whilst these papers are drying, so that we've got a completed project and we can do that. There we are. So this is the smaller piece of them. We'll just make sure that we've got that up, facing up the correct way. Slide that into place and pop that down, and we're just going to give that a good push to make sure it's properly adhered around the edges, because I don't want it to catch or to pull off. There we are. And of course I can add the decoupage glue over the top of that ultimately to seal it in place, but if I do that as we go now, all that's going to happen is I will end up with an icky sticky set of fingers. So let me just hold that down, and let's just add some of this. And this one I will ultimately have to, because of the notch here, you can see I've got a notch there, I will definitely have to be doing a little bit of tidying up, but that's also okay. Now you could just as easily be using Stamperia mixed media glue for this. Let's make sure we've got our text up the right way for that piece of paper, and let's pop that down onto there and give a little brush. Hi Julie, thank you my darling. Hi Lorraine, welcome my darling, and thank you Olympia. So we're just going to do this. That will hold that can go down there. We can carry on. As I say, we're going to add some bits and pieces and have just a little bit of a play. I knew that I was going to be away yesterday at Hobby Maker. Liz launched, the lovely talented Liz Wheeler launched new journal templates yesterday, which is cool, and Laura, who owns That's Crafty, is going to set it up so that they can, in future, you can order from Hobby Maker online, and she will be able to ship to the US for you. So that will be cool. There we are, let's just add that. So it's quite warm. I'm just going to need to add a reasonable layer, I think, of glue to this piece because it's soaking into my unprimed MDF, and that was a deliberate choice for me, not to bother priming it. If you're worried, of course you could do. So again, let's make sure we've got the text for that up the right way. Let's slide that into place, just give it a little bit of move and give it a good push down to make sure that particularly the edges have caught and it's not going to lift. And then I say, well, cut a piece for that one out later on. You know, sometimes I like to paint, stencil and add lots of things, but when you've got beautiful papers, sometimes that's what you do. And at the end of the day, we all buy boxes that are beautiful. Well, they've been made by someone and they use paper. So, you know, if you want to, you know, if that's good enough for buying, then I really don't see that it should be any harm for not. There we are. So let's just add that. We'll leave these side pieces with this, as I say, with that cut out. We're going to need to tackle that. So let's just get that piece onto there. Pop that into there. So we've got nice things. The measurements are in 0.2s and 0.3s, I would say, for this kit, so just be aware that that's the case, but hey ho, that's just life. So let's just give that a good push. Right, so cutting paper shouldn't be so difficult, and I cannot remember the amount, so that is literally 25 centimetres by 8.6. I'm not completely convinced, Julie. I haven't bought any of them. Partly because I've got a whole mountain of the Christmas papers already. I will end up needing to get some, but I can't use them for pentart until quite a lot later in the year, so I will worry about it. I have ordered a couple of the molds, but they're coming in from pentart rather than from anywhere else. So as you can see, I've been attacking my pad of paper. So this is the, as I say, the single-sided papers. And let me just see which ones I want for the bottom. I might want the lampshades, I might want that. So that's definitely suitable for a whole project. So you've got like 4 or 5 here that really just work for one project. And this one's a bit of an all sorts of everything. So let's just take this one and we'll all sorts and everything at the bottom of the piece. There we are. There are no cut apart elements in the double-sided paper beyond the tags. So there's no imagery on the front cover, or on the back cover. So just be aware of that. If you like to fussy cut, then that's not going to happen. So when you're cutting up a piece of paper, you need to think, ultimately, I aim to have my pieces cut in the biggest size pieces, remnants that I can possibly have. So rather than having everything chopped into little pieces. So that is 8.5. Let's go 8.5. 8.5 times 2 is 17 centimetres. So if I cut a 17, because I've got 2 of these to do, so 17 centimetre piece across here, this gives me a nice long strip to put away for a different project. Okay, does that make sense? And then I want the width to be 25 centimetres. I'm going to focus on those because that's appropriate. So I can now cut that down there. So that gives me 2 times the bottom and a really nice strip that would look well on, say, a belly band on another project. So I've got useful pieces of paper. And these were, I think, 8.5, weren't they? So that, yeah. So this way, I've got 3 cuts and 3 pieces of paper, and I can then divide this into 2. But my scrap pieces, my cut-off pieces, are now as big as possible. There we are. Oh, we did manage the maths correctly. Sula, what are you saying? Hello, my darling from Greece. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, there we are. We just need to do some little bits. So one of those is for the bottom of the second one. That can tuck underneath there. This one can go on the top of there. So let's just ink these edges, because a vintage make doesn't really have lots of white, does it? Well, you're welcome to have white if you want. Good afternoon, Deirdre. Welcome, my darling. Welcome. So just not wishing to scare, frighten or worry anyone, the lovely Liz Wheeler and I are hosting a retreat in the northeast of England. I think it's the 18th of October. I should know that date. It's close to one of my wedding anniversaries, so I really should. I've got no excuse not remembering that, have I? So that is the front, and I guess it probably doesn't really matter which way up this goes, but I'm going to pop it that way. And we have a maximum of 2 places left. So if particularly if people don't want to share rooms. So if you are interested, drop us a message, but don't hang about for too long. It'll be autumn stroke Christmas, because we won't then do another retreat until next year after this one, because we don't have time, and also life's too short to do that. So Friday evening, Saturday, Sunday till lunchtime, approximately 300 plus, not much over £300 for all of your food, all of your crafty materials, fun, laughs, companionship, and most of all friendship. And with it's very cool, Anya. It is almost for that. It is a very small retreat. We can't manage, but we keep the price down because of the venue. Is owned by a very lovely crafty friend. So there we are. So now we have a good layer of that, and I've got these edges that I now need to tackle. So let's find a knife. There we are. So I can now pop that onto there. And because I can put this down, it's quite helpful. There we are. So that's neat and tidy. Thank you, Deirdre. We do try our best. We do try our best. And I'm going to add a little bit more ink on that cut edge. There we are. Okay. So, I'm going to need another piece for inside, because I really didn't think this through very well when I was prepping, did I? Right, but that's okay, because you don't necessarily have to have everything. You could just easily paint or stain, but I decided I wouldn't just paint or stain. I decided I really would maximise on the painting. So let's just make sure. So that has definitely got text that way, so that will go into there. That's going to slide into that corner. There we are. And I cut all of these pieces the same size, which inevitably means when you're putting them inside, I'm going to have to do a bit of filing and trimming, but that's okay. That's just cool. I can cope entirely with that as a concept. There we are. Let's just add some glue into here. As I say, we'll do lots of tidying up. That's what files are for, that's what knives are for, and makes life easy. So there we are, just pop that onto there. So that is that text, pop that into there, pop that in, squash that right the way down into the bottom and give it a good push. There we are. So that can go into there. And let's just use that's going to help. There we are. And just use something nice. So this is just a bone folder that won't mark. So that will do that. We'll have a little bit of trimming, and that's cool. So I know full well I'm going to have to trim this by a little bit because I clearly didn't cut it down, did I? Hee. So let's just go to there. So let's measure the inside because we can. So that's 24.2 to allow for the size of the face. Hello, Anastasia. Right, 24.2. Let's just chop that to approximately there. Let's just make sure that that does sit nicely into there. Hey, I like it when a plan comes together. And we'll re-ink that. That will help. That will help. There we are. Good. Because why not? Why not indeed? So. And that's why it's good to measure twice, cut once. Don't know why that's doing that. Let me just move that up my computer screen's away. Ooh, possibly, Anya. It'll be the spring of next year, my darling. But that would be amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. There we are. So that's just now. Because we do all sorts. We will add some protective varnish ultimately to the papers. So I'm just using the decoupage glue as a glue today for paper, because it's nice and thin and it spreads easily, and it means that I'm not going to get lots of ruffles and wrinkles in the papers, which is cool. Let's make sure I have got that up the right way. Like it when a plan comes together. So that can go into there. So let again take my brayer, my foam folder, and just give that a good push to make sure that it's in nicely. And I say we can do that. Hello Sarah, welcome my darling. I trust that you are well. There we are. So let's just add some glue onto here. As I say, you could just use Stamperia mixed media glue. It's a nice thin glue that about the same consistency as this, so I wouldn't mind betting that they're very similar. This is matte, but if you wanted glossy, go ahead and use a glossy version or a silky shine one. There we are, don't want too much of that. Hello Uti, welcome my darling. Welcome, welcome. So that can go into there, and then let's just give that a nice push down. We're going to be doing some filing. Looking at this, that's okay. We can cope with that. We can let that dry. We've got some moulds to paint anyway, because it wouldn't be me without, would it? There we are. So pop that there. Let's just wipe that excess off, but make sure that that is stuck down. You can see that it's not well stuck at that point. So let's just give that little push. See, let's just add some more glue onto there, all the way down. And then stop meddling with it. There we are. So we now need a piece to go in the bottom of there, because why not? So let's just take this piece that we chopped. That's fine. Okie dokie. The location will be Thornton Cleveland's, my darling. That's for certain. So this now needs to be the inside diameter of here, which is 7.8, and we established that that was 24.2. So let's just chop this down a little bit. I guess I know it means I'm going to have a slither going in the bin, but hey ho! So there we are. Let's just take that little bit off there, and 7.8. Let's see. Let's just top a little bit off there. That will help. So this is just, there we are. Because why not? And that little bit. But yes, we can do that, my darling. Absolutely, we can do that. It would be lovely to see people. I know Deirdre came in from Ireland. We can pick up from Manchester Airport if that's helpful for people. We can pick up from Preston Railway Station if that's also helpful for people. There we are. Cool. Let's took that off over there. So there we are. And let's let that. Before I file these, I need to let it all dry properly. So let me just add a goodly layer of paint of my glue onto here. The of course will settle down. It's not particularly water heavy glue, though it is water based. So there we are. And I can now tuck that into the bottom of there, and let's slide the down. Right, and then just use your bone folder to make sure it's all pushed neatly into place and all of the air bubbles are pushed out as far as possible, and then you'll have a nice looking piece. And then that needs to dry now, absolutely needs to dry before I can tackle the next bits, which is filing and tidying that off. So I say I have two of these, so I'm going to do one for my cool ribbons and one for my warm ribbons. So that's using colour theory. That's not intended to be hairy scary, it's just what it is. See, we're going to have one of those days, aren't we? We are surely going to have one of those days. So there we are. Let's just pop that into there, pop that there, give that a squash. Let's pop you up that way with something heavy next to it that will help pop it together and keep that in place whilst that dries. There we are. So, and I've got blues and pinks, and so I have gone with a blue and a pink. So pink is although this is a pastel colour because it's pink, red is part of the red family. So this will be for my warm colours, so the red, orange, yellows and shades thereof. I just thought it might be easier, and then I'll have to decide where I put my purple, because purple, being a mix of red and blue, actually works in both the hot, warm and the cool blue colours, because it's got elements of both depending on how much red or blue is in the exact shade. So that's okay. So for me it's going to depend on that. So these have just been cast with amazing casting resin, and prior to the live were covered with bonding primer so that they are and left to dry, so that I have a nice solid surface to work on. There we are. There we are. We have a towel, and then we have a blue, a turquoise, and these are Allegro colours, but you could use whichever colours you wanted. It really isn't a great. There we are. We're still on our meshes. Use it. So these are Stamperia Allegro colours. They are just acrylic colours. These ones are made by Stamperia. It could just as easily be pentart. They're matte based, so any matte acrylic that will coordinate with your papers will work fine. The joy of Stamperia is that they have a limited palette of colours that have been designed to work with their paper collections, and each collection that they release, they have a collection from that limited palette of colours that are that will work with the paper. So if you're starting out and you're buying pretty papers, they make life easier. As you go through, it becomes more expensive because trying to get hold of single units in the UK is maybe not so easy. But and the colours repeat across multiple collections, so you don't want to buy a whole new set for necessarily, because you'll end up with multiple pots of the same colours over time. So being able to buy single collections is also good. But the theory is that I was going to have, I'm going to have a warm toned and a cool toned collection of storage ultimately. So those two can now sit over there out of the way, and I shall have a little mop down of my hands because they're filthy at the moment. Oh, there we are. And as I say, each of these the bases come with 15 bobbins is the word I'm looking for. So so there's lots of those, and I'll explain what I'm going to have. Some of them I've already pre-painted. So these bobbins come with a little slit, and you need to keep that slit as clear as possible, because that slit, she says, grabbing a piece of ribbon, ultimately has to fit your ribbon end in. So if you take your ribbons and just wrap them round, there we are, like there, comme ça. If you don't contain the end, it's going to be a pain, isn't it? Yeah. So that slit needs to keep that in place. So I have thought long and hard about what to do in terms of painting, decorating or adding to these, because it's not really practical to add paper to them, and paint adds a thick layer. It is a ribbon storage box, Julie, from Jack Heath Designs. That's J-A-K Heath, H-E-A-T-H, and she's on Etsy. So I've ummed and ahed about this quite a lot, and in the end decided I would use some wood stains. You could use the Stamperia aqua colours and spray them, but they'll add quite a layer of water, and you'll then need to let them absolutely thoroughly dry before you can do anything else to them. But they will eventually throw back. So I've chosen these Le Sur gels, which are wood stains in effect, in different colours, and they're thin and I can keep them out of the cracks. So that is Country Rose. Just thought that would work quite nicely. There we are. Let's just clear that one off. We'll leave that for the other side. I'm not going to paint all 15 of them on the live. I've got some pre-done, but this is the colour mix that I've chosen. So this is Country Green. So just choose the colours that work. If you've got sprays, give them a spray. Just remember, you need to keep that little slit empty as much as possible, otherwise you'll struggle to get your pieces in long term. That's definitely being a pain in the neck, even though I set it to dry ages ago. I obviously didn't add enough glue onto it. Anyone would think that I hadn't prepped, but I absolutely did. So there we are. Let's just pop that onto there, sit that there. Let's add some weight onto that to hold it in place while it dries down a little bit better than it currently is. There we are. That will add. There we are. And anyway, you can always add glue back later on. So this is this ivory. This one definitely will need a couple of coats, and of course these are two-sided, so yeah, we are going to have to do it to the other side. There we are. And again, you don't want anything very dimensional on these long term, so she says, there we are. But the Lyser gels will sink in, they'll add a layer of colour without bulk, because I'm literally using them as a paste, as a paint, but they're not thick and they sink in, so I'm not adding lots of bulk, particularly to that slit area. So let's just give that a little bit of a blast dry, because then I can turn them over. There we are. Let's just move that out of the way. There we are. And they won't take me very long to dry at all, at all, at all. And all of these techniques that I'm using today could be used on any MDF box from any company. You know, they're just ideas for how to put together, how to use, how to decorate. Using products that I happen to have lurking around, of which we all know I have a ridiculous amount of product lurking around. Good afternoon, Sylvia, welcome. Though I think it might be morning. If you're in Portugal, it will be afternoon, and if you're in South America, it will definitely be morning. Hopefully not too ungodly an hour. There we are. So, as I say, they don't take a ridiculous amount of time to dry, so I can now quite happily just add a second there. I'm going to cover the edges with wax, so that again isn't going to, you know, stuff going over the sides isn't going to be a big issue. There we are. Don't want to re-dunk that, do I really? Okay, let's just take some of that off so we're not wasting everything. There we are. Pop that into there. So Country Rose, let's just give that a wipe. Oh, of course, I remember. There we are, Country Green. As I say, they're just pretty colours. They're pretty muted colours. Don't want a bit of moss lurking in there. That won't help. As I say, I've got two of these to do, but we'll do the one, because it might just take us a wee while to just do the one, and that's also just fine. I haven't seen Sophie come in, Sarah. Maybe, I know he's not in a good place. She hurt her ankle the other day, and she's had lots of issues with her ankle in the past and required surgical intervention. So she was in quite a lot of pain and not able to do very much, having had all the metalwork checked out to make sure it was all intact. Last thing I saw a post was saying she was bored. I'm taking it she doesn't like the Olympics, but you know, each to their own. I quite like a little bit of sport. I like the variety. Don't like football, so not particularly keen on rugby, but do like swimming, do like the diving, The artistic gymnastics is always a bit of fun. Synchro diving, quite like the idea if they've got some trampolining, that might appear on my wish list of things to look at some point. There we are. We'll pop that onto there. We've got a lovely number of people watching today. As I say, that the ivory will almost certainly need another layer. So let's just give that a blast dry. Hello Sophie, there we are. I hope that you are a little less bored than you were the other day. I know that you were not happy the other day. And we can have a little bit of a clean down. You can put some paints away. Just while we let some of these other bits and pieces dry. Because you can't file things off that are wet, because all that will happen is you'll wreck your papers, and that's not a cool look. So let's just add this. There we are. I know the ivory is the only one that I would probably add another extra layer to, because it's such a pale colour covering the wood, and I deliberately haven't primed these so that I've got usable slots. There we are. Let's just shuffle that lot out the way. Let's just put those, we'll lid that so that we don't end up with a spill. There we are. Pop that over there. Pop that over there, and that's just cleared some of this mess, hasn't it? Let's give those another blast dry, and then we'll have a little clean down, because that's also cool. That's alright, that's okay, that's okay. So let's just goody goody gumdrops, not as the case may be. So there we are. Let's just have, sorry if this upsets people's, and as you can see, that's dry, and I really am going to have to work very, very hard to shift the mess. You know, in real use, even a piece of glass that you'd covered with these, particularly if you've added a varnish over the top of it, really you're not going to get that off very easily. Yeah, because I am having to work at this to shift that off there. Right, but I don't like working on a messy surface, so let's just get that out of the way, and that will help us with better views as well. There we are. Okay, so I looked at these and thought, they're lovely, they're also very boring, because that's just the way it is, isn't it? They're very boring. And I didn't want to leave them completely undecorated, so I've done a couple of things. So I've taken from the Stamperia collection, this is from Secret Diary, this text. I could have used any of them, because I'm not going to completely cover these, and I'm using my same archival ink. So I'm going to just pop that onto there. I'm not bothering with a pad, an acrylic block. I don't want these to have an all over appearance. I'm quite happy for it to have bits and pieces. There we are, of stamping rather than anything else. Let me, ooh, she says getting stuff on there. Oh, I quite liking a trip to those, an aqua aerobic class. There we are. Really quite, let's just give that a little bit of a blast dry. It will dry quite quickly, and then we can repeat said process onto the side. There we are. And then you just do these for all of them. And as I say, there are 15 in the set. and that's giving me a mixture. And you could pick any text stamp you wanted. It really isn't critical in any way, shape or form. And then I thought, do I like these? Are they still a bit boring? Have there anything else I can do? Do I want to add anything else? And I thought, well, why not? We've got some rub-ons. We can add little snippets of these. So these are rub-ons from the brocante collection, and we're going to add these in pieces because we don't need all of the elements in all the pieces. So, and some of them I have actually, some of the ones I've already used, I have put those to finish off drying. So we say these ones I've already got some pre-done. So we'll start the same way. So we can make a set of the rub-ons go a reasonable distance, I think. Let's just pop that one onto there. So you don't need masses and masses of packs. As I say, I have used some floral rub-ons from Garden House because they were lying around, and I just thought that might be nice. So there's quite a few of these, I'm afraid, to sit here and decorate, but hey ho, we don't need to add lots. Do I need all of that? There we are. Some of that will be hanging off the top of there, and that's also fine. I don't need to worry about that. So we'll carry on, and we'll decorate these as is. So we might have a whole one there, because that doesn't make, that one that says handmade with love doesn't make sense to completely break up. And you can do both sides or not, as the case may be. You might need a whole one of those. So let's just have a little bit of tape measure. Number 10. So let's just pop that up there. There we are. Okay, so we've popped that off. We shouldn't have done. Let's just pop it back. There we are. That will add into there. And you can add bits of washi tape also if that's what you want to do. So let's just leave these simple for the moment with just some pieces of that, I think. Maybe not. Maybe we'll add some strips, or maybe not. I don't know. Let's leave those as they are. Fairly simple, but they still look a bit boring, and that's fine. So let's just see what we've got in our florals, just to add something, just to pretty them up a little bit, because why not? It's a good, and this is just a good way, I think, then, of using up lots of different scraps, elements that you might have, things that you might not, where you've got ones or twos, because as long as they're pretty, actually the theme doesn't necessarily matter, does it? There we are. So let's just add some of these. Craft. Yeah, that would work. That will work. So let's just add little flower onto there. I'm sorry, but we do have some rinse and repeats required. I think we might, on top of that one, I need another element onto there. So let me just take it from here. And let's just add that pair of scissors from there. So I am thinking about it, but you don't have to overthink about it. Ultimately the choice is yours, isn't it, as to what you want to do. We've got just, but as I say, I think this is quite a good way for people to use up leftover bits and pieces. Maybe depends on what you've got, what you're wanting to do, what you have. So that's 4. Some of them I have already done, I promise you, because I didn't really think you wanted to be here all day with me doing 2 sets of these. So we'll just continue. We're just making them pretty, because who doesn't want pretty? That one's going to be a little bit of a struggle because it's so big, but hey ho, we can always get rid of half of it. Just because it says it's a whole piece does not mean that we have to use the whole piece, does it? There we are. So add that one onto there. And these rub-ons are fabulous, they work really well, so that's always cool, isn't it? That's going to sit reasonably on there. We'll lose a little bit over the side, but that's cool, don't have a problem with that. Well, you know, this, you can think of each one of these, Sophie, as a small project in its own right. But then, you know, something little. You could even do a little ATC. If you want small projects, then cut yourself just some pieces of card, 2.5 by 3.5 inches, and then use each as a surface for making. And that will work very nicely and will give you, a nice base for working with and lots of different options. So let's see, let's just add, and these are not difficult, they're not complicated. I really don't do difficult or complicated. It's not that you can't. You can add as much or as little as you want to things. Ultimately, I'm just taking products that I've got that I need to use. They're just working, aren't they? Just the little details, adding all of the little pieces on, layering, just makes life easy. And they're going to be functional, because many of you will know that my craft room is just ever so slightly full. Yeah, and I'm mixing my styles, I'm mixing my things up, and that's also just fine. Yeah, I'm more than happy to do that. There we are. And by breaking my rub-ons up, a pack will go a good distance, so that's also cool, isn't it? I am conscious I've got front and back sides of these. I'm not going to be decorating both sides of them because life is too short. There we are. Let's just pop that one onto there. And we've got another layer to add in to this and some other bits to still go through. So that's all right. Let's just... And you notice I'm deliberately not taking my rub-ons off their backing. I'm keeping them intact on their pieces, because that's just going to allow me to not waste them, because otherwise you end up with the glue sticking where you don't want it, and you lose pieces of the rub-ons. But just because there's an image as it is on the rub-on, doesn't mean that that's what you have to do. There we are. Where's there? I happen to know that I've got a whole collection more of these to do, because there we are. We'll add that onto there, on top of that, because that's going to work for me. Let's just see what we've got to add onto there. Let's just have a pretty flower. Which we can add onto the bottom of that one. So it's just giving me lots and lots of different areas of interest. So we now have some extra bits and pieces, but we still have, let's just have a tidy up before we end up in a pickle, because that's what we're going to end up with if we're not very, very careful. There we are. So that can go over there, that can go over there, and that can go there. I'm going to need that out for another time. That can sit over there. Excellent. So, and then I thought I still wanted to add some extra detail into these pieces. So let's just pop some of those out of the way. So I have now taken a stencil from the brocante collection. It's the one that has this one with a beautiful damask, areas of background, and then some of the bust and bustiers. Thank you, Jack. I said I would do it once I'd got a little bit of time ahead of me, and I just think, just wanting to add. So this way I can add just some little extra details into these pieces, and I can now add, I'm going to deliberately choose to keep the back fairly simple. So these are literally just soft brushes, fairly cheap, inexpensive, call it what you want, but they will just allow, it goes through the details of the stencil quite nicely, and I can layer up stuff as I want. So it's just allowing me to add extra detail. Once these are dry, I can of course just add some extra stenciling over the back of them, and I could go back in and add rub-ons. This is the sort of piece that that I can come back to if I've got rub-ons left over from other makes. I can come in and add in to fill in gaps or do the reverse sides. So let me just add, as I say, I'm deliberately not worrying about having whole images for this. It's not, that's not my intention to do this, and it is an archival ink pad, because that's important that we don't end up with it cross-contaminating onto our ribbons long term. There we are. So the soft brush is allowing me to get into the details of here. So let's just pop that down onto there, and I can cherry pick the elements that I want from this. And if I want darker areas, I can just swirl through a little bit more of the ink. Really, I can add what I want. The ink will not stick on top of the rub-ons. They have a plasticized surface, and that's cool. I'm happy with that. There we are. A nice soft brush will work for this, and you don't need a big brush. This came in a pack of 10 from the lovely Sarah John Allen. There we are. And as I say, you can add. If you wanted to use washi tape, I've got some elements where I've added strips of washi tape. That will also work quite nicely for what and the very nature of these means that I'm not going to have everything in. So Jack, if you want, please feel free to add the link to your Etsy shop. I've been watching your Christmas designs. I'm a bit overloaded and it's a bit early for Christmas for me, but it'll happen at some stage. There we are. So I'll lift some of these up because I appreciate that you're probably not seeing all of the layers and all the detail, but all I'm doing is building a little bit of extra detail into these pieces. So if I hold, there we are. So that's the stamping and the rub-ons, and that's stamping and stenciling, and that's with the rub-ons as well. So it just adds lots of extra details. And yes, it's going to take me a bit of time to do it. Yeah, it certainly is. But then that's the whole purpose, isn't it? This is some mindful time for me. Let's get rid of that piece of thread on there. And this is where having stencils that have got multiple different components makes it easier, because it just adds a lot of interest without you having to have quite so many stencils lurking. I'm rather thinking I might just add some of that crisscrossy pattern onto there and over there. So you can pick up as much or as little as you want to your pieces. There we are. So I vaguely kept to sewing themes and florally bits because I just wanted some bits that were, things that would coordinate, but were definitely not all matchy, if that makes sense. There we are. Let's just add that into there. So that's going to add that bigger bodice onto the back of there. I just think, it's summer. We should be celebrating summer. We should be celebrating the seaside and holidays and not wishing our life away. It's too early. Excellent. So let's just pop that over there. I can now lid that up. Let's see, that might be. Let's go back to the box and see how well dried that is. I'm aware that I might need to do some filing, and I might need to be adding some extra bits of glue, and that's also just fine. So let's just like your rice papers, you can trim off or file off. See, that's just going to be an absolute pain, isn't it? I can re-glue that. We're just not going to worry about that moving about for the moment. We'll just re-glue it in a minute. Obviously cut it to size first and you'll make your life easier, but hey ho, did we egg? So there we are. There we are. So I can't cut that because of the angle that it's at. So we'll just, it doesn't take a ridiculous amount of time. Same process as using your rice papers, and it will eventually come off easily. There we go. There it goes. we haven't got it glued together nicely in this corner, but here, but that's okay. We'll sort that out once we finish the filing. It will work, and we're going to have to add some more glue, but that's okay. Let's just do that. Let's just do that. There we are. You see. Right, well, we'll just ignore that bit that's deciding to be an absolute pain. It happens to the best of us. And we can sort it, because you need to know how to sort it when things do decide to be an absolute pain in the proverbial, don't you? There we are. It just needs to be re-glued into place. Right, excellent. So let's just tackle the pain in the proverbial bit, because we just need to. So let's just add goodly wad of glue into there, goodly wad of glue into there, and let's angle that and add some glue down there, and then we can slot that in to there. I've got paper that's coming off there. There we are. We'll add that in and glue that in, and let's just hold that now and be patient. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You just need to be patient, don't you? But it doesn't matter. You just, again, you know, people aren't necessarily patient when they're crafting, and they need to be able to do that. I have one area here. Tell you what, that's just going to make my life really much easier. So let's just not even worry about it. And let's just add some glue down there, some glue down there, some glue down onto there. There we are. Pop that there, and then let's get this excess piece off here with it off the piece of paper, because that will then make my life very much easier, because I can now literally just take a knife to it. Good. So make sure you add sensible amounts of glue, not stingy amounts of glue, to your pieces. There we are. That now slots into place, and that can now sit to dry in place with plenty of glue. Right, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's pop that knife away safely into there. Let's just hold. Be patient. You know, patience is a virtue. There we are. Let's just hold it in place. There we are. Right, let's see if these are... We don't need that one now. We will need it back in when this piece is dry to re-edge some of these. And as I say, we've got... I have a second box to do, so that's fine. So on this one, I think I'm going to go with the warm tones, and on the other one, I'll go with the cool tones. But maybe not. So for this box, do we want the pink, or do we want the blue? It's not going to stay quite so vibrant, ladies. Okay, I can see what I've done with it. There we are. Pink or blue for this box? You're cool. Have a little think about it. Write a little message in the thanks. when you're on Sally Telly, Sarah, you have no choice, because Sally Telly, for the best known reasons to itself, thank you Margaret, thank you, I have a clear answer there, that makes life easy, demands that things are done sooner, and they want stuff, the sales, and they drive me doolally, but hey ho, each to their own. So this is just the pearl shimmer glaze. It's just going to add another layer of femininity to it, and I can leave it almost solidly coloured if I want, very soft, but we're not going to. You like the blue, no purple, there's no purple in the make, so there we are. We'll just wipe this back off the surface, and there is our very soft, very pretty, very feminine. And if the blue one I'm going to do a second one, so watch the social media, will have a second one. So let's just soften this blue down, because it's a bit vibrant, and I didn't want to go brown vintage, I wanted soft girly, so hence for these icons. But there we are. You could just as easily use a brown antiquing gel if that's what you wanted. So we'll use the pink, but you can see just how adding that white into here softens that down quite a lot and makes it more in keeping with the piece. So that can sit over there. Right, eeny meeny, let's pop that onto there. As I say, I will decorate the blue version anyway, because some of that's just going to need to be left. There we are. Okay. So I now need to leave this to properly dry. It really does need to be left to dry, otherwise we're going to be in a pickle. But that's okay. So I don't like the black or the brown edges because they're untidy. Oops, don't want that. So I've got a well-loved pot of wax, gold wax. So I can now just add the gold wax around the edges of my pieces to neaten off the areas. It will cover where the paint goes over, where I don't necessarily want it on display. Doesn't matter if I get a little bit on the fronts, it will all add to the effect. This is quite an old pot, we're getting there. So there we are, but it converts a tatty mess, a mess where you haven't quite got all of the edges even, into a cohesive finish, because the wax will layer over everything else. Yeah, I'm not quite at the point of throwing this pot of wax away, but we are getting there. And once the box is dry, I will do the same on the box. I'll add some ink around the white paper edges that I've filed off because I don't like them, and then we'll add some wax along the way. The wax, before loading my ribbons on, I will just leave these to set properly for a good few days before I add my ribbons in, but adding the wax just takes this messy edge, and you'll never really know that it was messy. And this is a repetitive process, and I've got a whole collection more of these to do because, as I say, I've got a second box, but that's because I'm going to have a cool tones and a warm tones ribbon storage set. And this isn't complicated, doesn't involve lots of lots of chemicals, or even lots of, of prep time. The MDF is definitely better off left to dry properly before you start filing at it to clear edges. There we are. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I've got white spirit. I could add that too, but actually, I find I have better control with my fingers. I've always got brushes dunked in white spirit in front of me, Anya, because I use so much of the antiquing paste. I have a set of brushes that I pretty much only use for doing that, so which is cool. I think we all have to find what works for our own world of madness. So for ladies who don't know Anya does lives in Creative Hut, which is a Dutch company that has lots of Stamperia products in it. So lots of mediums as well, so it's you might be worth having a little, following that company, just get lots of tips. It is Dutch, so sometimes it's, the lives will be in Dutch and you might not understand, but if you ask questions, some nice person will generally help you, because that's what I find with crafters, is that they're very happy to support each other. I think this pot, I don't know that it's my original pot, I've got several on the go, but it's probably one of my early pots of wax from pentart. There we are. So that is cool. So let's just do that. And let's de-yuck the hands, and that definitely would be better off with a bit of a turpentine on there. So let's pop those over there. Let's see if we can, let's just tidy that, because I can see an area I don't much like at the moment. Okay. Let's get rid of some of these white lines on the edges of here. So this is just my archival ink on a brush, and I will, as I say, add. It will get rid of the white lines, cover those in, unify some of that colour a little bit better. And this is where a soft brush that will nip into the angles makes such a difference. So there we are. That's now looking much nicer. So let's just add a wee touch of gold onto there. There we are. Okay. And we've got those little bits, haven't we, to tackle. So we have now got a very pretty box, beautifully covered, or not as the case may be, but looking very pretty. And we're just going to clean the mitts. Let me grab the pan ribbons. Let's just pick. It won't really matter. We're going to go warm tones on this one, aren't we? So let's see what we've got there. Warms. and grey fits as a neutral. So here we are. So these are old-fashioned ribbons, Polish company, but does exist in the UK. These were picked up at a UK craft fair recently. So are they cheap? Absolutely not. Are they beautiful? Absolutely yes. They certainly are. So we have a nice long length. There we are. We won't bore you by putting, filling all of them. So we're just going to wrap our ribbon round and then we can straighten it up and slide it in. There we are. And you can hold these whichever way you want, I guess, is the honest answer, and have as many as you want. So let's just literally and that way I'm going to be able to find the ends, which is also always a major blessing, isn't it, when you can find the ends that you're wanting. So yes, is it a pity to cover some of these pieces up? Maybe. But the joy is that each time you finish, take a piece off, you will re-find it, won't you? So, yeah, always adds to the joy. So I can then carry on and fill these up, pop as many of these in here as I want. But before we finish, we're just going to pop this into place. So as I say, I will add do my second box and post that as well. So that's 25. So let's just grab that. Let's just grab some heavy body gel. Pop that into there. So halfway is approximately, there we are, and I can pop that onto there. Line up that centre and pop it in the middle. So that needs to be left to dry now, which is cool. I can carry on loading my ribbons into my box. I will make my second one up and I will post pictures of both of them at some point in the week. I have my regular live for pentart on Tuesday, and we're going to make a journal, but a journal with a difference. So journals are called Midoris. So we're going to be having a little bit of fun with some different things on that, just to, you know, to have something that's different, which will be lovely. Let me just, ooh, there we are. Let's just squish out some of that extra glue that I've just squished everywhere. There we are. Let's just pop that into there. There we are. Get rid of the white. There we are. So, please keep safe, everyone. Enjoy the week ahead. In the UK, I think we have some nice weather due, which was even better. I squashed glue out then, if you're wondering why I'm faffing. There we are. There we are. That's better. That's better. And I will see you hopefully next week on another live, when I shall be making something, I think, from Ciao Bella instead of using Stamperia. So ta-ta for now, enjoy your week, and please, whatever you're doing, stay safe.